Hello, everyone. It's Thursday today, and you know what that means. It's the Thursday Collective. Well, today we have a collective of just two. I'm joined today by my friend Amanda Maxim. Hey, Amanda, how's it going?
Hey, Nicholas. Honestly, I'm feeling a little unfocused and unsettled. I think I might be nervous to be here.
Nervous? Well, don't feel bad. I'm just recovering from the worst flu of my life. So maybe it's the jet lag, as both of us were in Greece literally a week ago, and now we're back here on the West Coast, which is a bit of a transition.
Hmm.
But So we have decided that we're going to start off today by talking about AI. I'm a complete ignoramus in this particular area. So how would you explain what AI is and what AI does to someone who knows relatively little about it? Can you start us off?
This is a really good question. So I was thinking about that over the last couple of days since I knew that would be the topic. And I kind of thought like, okay, so if artificial intelligence, that's like what robots and computers, you're trying to get them to do, I don't know, to output things, data, so maybe work on their own. But then I wondered, okay, so if that's artificial intelligence, then like, what am I? Am I just like intelligence or like authentic intelligence? But then I thought you can't really do that because that's another AI. So, um,
Natural intelligence?
thank you. Uh, so, I mean, I think of it as, yeah, you're trying to get machines to be independent, to get them to do what you want with um, little instruction, or I don't know. Well, that's a really good question. I wonder if there was like a whole internet here right in front of me where I could look it up.
Well, let me
Uh,
put it this way. A few questions that are very much on my mind. Is artificial intelligence really an appropriate term, or is it a bit of a misnomer or an oxymoron? Because when we talk about intelligence, that implies certain things like consciousness, perception, volition. Can technology really be designed to replicate the things that we as human beings associate with intelligence, like perception, volition, conceptualization? Can you say a little bit about that?
well, like I hope so. That's my hope. But I think you're right. Like right now, it's not so much. It's like a baby intelligence is how I think about it. So you're right. It can't think in conceptual terms, but yet it is powerful. So maybe it's superficial intelligence or just starting out intelligence. And I hope it does get to the point where it is actually, like thinking, maybe even feeling. I don't know how you would do that, but um, I don't know. I think of the progression of just even human beings or life on this planet, right? It goes from physical things like you can just move in your environment. Machines started out that way too, like pretty physical machines. They need an operator. And then we invent computers. So it's like, okay, now we can give them their own brain. Um, but yeah, there's something about it now where it's not independent at all. Um, and it certainly doesn't feel in the same way that a human would. But yeah, let's do it. Let's go there. I hope we do. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, certainly computers can do things, a computer can do things that are different than what a human mind can do. Computers can do certain things more quickly. For example, certain types of calculations, searching through data or whatever.
Mm.
So there's certainly on the computer side, there's an advantage with respect to speed. But then what are the things that a human mind can do that a computer can't do? You mentioned, for example, emotions.
Yeah. I mean, so we had this an issue in astronomy, right? Because we've got so much data. And it's like, okay, what do you do with the data now that you have it all? You can't possibly process it all. And one of the things someone came up with was the galaxy zoo. And I think there's now a moon zoo as well. But the idea was, okay, we got all these photographs of galaxies, like more than any like single person or even team of researchers could go through and categorize. And it turns out the computer's not very good at that, at taking visual information and identifying, okay, is this a spiral galaxy? Is it an irregular one? So they sort of outsourced that to many, many people by putting up online. You could go through and categorize, and it would sort of take the I don't know, the accumulation of that and tell you what kind of a galaxy it probably was. So images are a problem, or were a problem. I see that's getting better. Like, I feed my face to the machine, to the AI, because I like to make myself into whatever, a Viking princess or something, with you. And the machine's gotten really good at least that, of recognizing a face. Where is what are the features of the face, and then being able to change them and morph them, or I guess, I don't know, integrate them with an image or something like that. So that's coming along. But yeah, it's a big jump though, from going from, okay, computers can do stuff, they can process data, they can recognize images, they can to like it's actual thinking, independent thinking, because you still need a programmer, you need an algorithm, all that stuff. When will actually be born? I don't know.
So it sounds like you're saying that computers are getting better at recognizing images, whether it's facial images. Is that something that can be applied to your work, for example, recognizing images of stars, galaxies?
Dude, I hope so. I think astronomy was the thing that drove it drove, I don't know about the invention of the computer. Definitely, like, photography was driven by astronomy, because it's like we want pictures of this, processing images. So there's a sense in which astronomy is the thing that's been pushing forward that kind of technology. So that would be awesome if it was, if we could use curiosity about the universe to invent artificial intelligence that would help us, like, to understand those things. I would love that. I'm kind of out of the loop with astronomy, so I don't know. I hope they're using it.
Can you give maybe one specific concrete example where AI has been indispensable in your work in astronomy, in astrophysics? Where it's done certain things that human beings wouldn't be able to do, or wouldn't be able to do quickly and efficiently enough?
Yeah, certainly. Like, searching through data is something I can think of for sure. That if you have a huge data set, it's what, you used to go through those by hand, more or less, and you're looking at a star chart and you're looking at the sky again, maybe the next night, get real familiar with it. But it's so much more powerful if you can just let the computer do that and search for you, because it can process way more stuff than you can. Hey, Jonathan.
Hey, Amanda, and hey, Nicholas. It's great to be with you. And Amanda, kind of apropos of what you were literally just saying, I remember hearing Dr. Brook talk about how, I think within the field of oncology now, you have computers which screen and look at thousands and thousands of scans. Whereas once you had to have a human being, now you can have a computer do exactly that process of looking at a scan, trying to evaluate, is there anything abnormal there, reading these types of things. So a computer can do it much faster. So, it's the irony of seeing so much fear about what is it called, machine learning or artificial intelligence now. Tremendous fear. It's so reminiscent of, we weren't around back then, but like that whole Luddite movement of, new technology, it's going to hurt us. And even like Terminator 2, what was that, like 30 years ago now? I mean, that fear of the computers are taking over. I welcome our new computer overlords. They're going to make our lives so much easier. Just the fact that I'm, seeing a couple of shrewd objectivists talking about how this artificial intelligence can code. I've never been able to code. I mean, even going back to HTML, I couldn't figure that out. So I'm delighted about AI, these new advancements, new technologies. And, Rand said it herself in the Ayn Rand letter. The quote I like is, nothing can raise a country's productivity except technology. And technology is the final product of a complex of sciences, including philosophy, each of them kept alive and moving by the achievements of a few independent minds. So this is happening in the West. It's not happening in, collectivist third world parts of the world. So I'm excited about it. And I think great things are going to come from this artificial intelligence technology.
Well, I'd like to pick up on something that you just said. Do you see any dangers of AI falling into the wrong hands, falling into the hands of totalitarian governments or other bad actors, say Islamic jihadists or anything like that? Is there any, because technology, it's a tool, it's like any other kind of tool. Is there a danger of AI falling into the hands of bad actors who can use it for propaganda purposes, for the purposes of monitoring their citizens or anything like that?
I mean, for me, and I'd love to hear Amanda's perspective on this too, I think the danger is those dictators, those evildoers, the technology, whether it was, nuclear weapons, nuclear technology falling into the hands of really bad people. So it's those evil philosophies, those evil actors that I fear. Whatever the technology of the day is, they're going to try to use it. They're going to try to abuse it. They're going to try to inflict harm. So, I don't think the technology is the issue. I think it's those bad individuals, those bad actors, and those bad philosophies that I worry about. What do you think?
I guess I agree in that the real danger is that we focus on that, right? We focus on who can take this technology and use it for evil versus like, hey, check this out. Let's play with it, make it awesome, and use it for good, because that will always outshine the bad. And like you said, people are like, evil people do evil things. It doesn't matter like what they use to do it.
And I have to say, I mean, to that point, I'm a little fearful now. I've already read that, at least here in the States, you've got legislators throwing out, well, we need to step in and legislate AI. And, remember when Facebook was trying to launch its crypto project more than a year ago, before they even got it started, legislators were coming in, well, we've got to keep an eye on this. We got to regulate this. And so, we always joke about the Wright brothers wouldn't have gotten the kitty off the ground at Kitty Hawk had the government been the way it was today. So to your point, Amanda, let this new technology bubble up. I mean, humans have reason, right? If if it doesn't provide a value for us, we're not going to use it. Rational people won't use it. So let these incredible minds develop this technology. It's going to benefit us all.
Well, I think, Jonathan, you've really gotten to the crux of the matter. When people are afraid of some new technology, the first response is always, we've got to get regulation, we've got to get government oversight. No, absolutely not. We need to rely on the free market, people, organizations interacting willingly in the long run to keep the technology safe, to keep it out of the hands of any would-be dictators or would-be bad actors who may get a hold on it. By the way, before we continue, Amanda, would you like to read the super chats we have so far
Sure.
in the chat?
All right, we got Jason Adams. Matters pertaining to objectivists. I don't know what that is, but $10. Thank you. We have Mary Aline. Oh yeah, hey Mary Aline, Amanda and Nicholas, great combination. I agree. It's like pretzels and peanut butter. Good stuff. Sorry, that just Enric Teller. Hi, Enric.
Thanks, Enric.
$9.99. What he says, chips are still rocks. A rock with complex chips, like computer chips. I thought you were talking about like tortilla chips. Okay. With complex paths, gates, etc., but they lack the biological ability to change the environment and intent. As humans grow neurons towards intent, computers are still static. Yeah, cool, good point. And then Mary Aline gave $2 once Jonathan showed up, because it's good to see you.
To see you, and who's going to fix the computers, right? Who is going to? Someone has to service the computers, fix them, plug them in, take care of them.
I hope it's my brother, not me. It's all.
Well, that raises the question: what new opportunities can AI open up in terms of employment, in terms of people actually having jobs? What new fields will this create in the future?
I have no idea. So I saw this BBC Futures from like the 60s once, and I can't remember who it was, but he was a scientist, and he said, people always ask me as a scientist, what will the future be like? And I loved his answer so much that like I use it myself now, because he was saying, people think about what you might do with it, and you have this imagination, like people would imagine flying cars or I don't know, things like that. And do they materialize? Is that how the future really is? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you guess right sometimes. Maybe you have some sort of insight that leads you to that conclusion. But he ultimately said, all that I know about the future is that it's going to be wonderful. And like, it's going to be amazing.
Well, even think back, Nicholas, to like our memories of the workplace in like the 60s and 70s. There was like just rooms and rooms full of files. Remember, just files everywhere. And people whose job it was every day to just move a piece of paper from this file to that file. That was their job. That's not particularly stimulating. And nowadays, Dr. Binswanger has made this point, you have like American Girl doll. You guys know what that is? Maybe in the UK, it's like fancy dolls. Amanda knows what that is.
I do.
And you can go get your doll to have an appointment with a real doctor who will fix your doll. So it's like you can get a job now in America as a doctor for dolls, as a fake doctor for kids' dolls. I mean, it's only available with this type of technology that can take over really mundane, tedious tasks. So, whether it's, Nicholas, I'm kind of like Amanda. I don't know too much about AI, but technology, what it seems to do is free up tasks for human beings so that they can engage in new tasks, higher level tasks. Maybe it's, I can't imagine, maybe it's service, maybe it's, new types of, I don't know, but I'm excited to see what it becomes because it's always benefited us in the past.
I think it's, for me, like, I don't even think about those kinds of things about what will, I don't know, the future of industry or what jobs will go away or come forth because of the technology. It's more like I'm only interested in playing with it, like 100%. It's very personal. It's like I want to feed my picture to the machine and see what comes out. I want to look at the chat, whatever the chat robot is, and play with it a little bit, ask it what should I name this mythical island that I'm dreaming up in my head, and see how it responds. And you were talking before, Jonathan, about how people are afraid of the robots maybe taking over the world or something, or how bad that could be in the future. But I already love the robots. Like, I just think about my Spotify, right? So it gets to know me, what I like to listen to, and then it suggests things like, you might like this, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. And it's so often right, like, yeah, I do like that, and I would not have ever discovered that on my own. So yeah, I don't know about jobs and industry and that kind of thing, but certainly for like personal pleasure, it's like, that's gonna be awesome.
Just apropos of your point about Spotify, and I don't mean to monopolize, Nicholas, but like, I remember growing up when you went to the CD store, the record store, you had to thumb through and buy a whole CD just to get one song that you might have wanted. And now your Spotify is doing the thinking for you. You're basically paying nothing for all of that music and not spending your Saturdays at a grimy mall, like, thumbing through, you're doing something else. You're bettering yourself. So it's is it Bastiat always talks about what's seen and what's unseen. So, we don't see all that time wasted we used to wait because of these new technologies making our lives so much better.
Absolutely. Is there anything else we want to say about AI, or shall we move on to another topic?
Well, I'll just jump in quickly. Marilyn says that she hates that bureaucrats who can't create anything immediately want to regulate whatever anyone else creates. Envy, maybe? It's
go ahead, sorry.
No, it's so much. It's like a distrust of human reason. It's power lust, I think. It's I don't know, Nicholas, what else do you think? There's so much to say about that instinct of it, and the public welcomes it. They welcome bureaucrats coming in and setting the rules, laying down the rules for technologies they don't even know shit about.
Yeah, it's probably a combination of fear, apathy on the part of the public. They just want to be taken care of by the politicians.
Ashley,
politicians are only too happy to comply.
Ashley Shrug says, technology enhances human life and we should let it. There's so much of that fear with it, and there's something new comes in and jobs will be lost. Don Watkins has a great line I love. He says, a society is judged, I believe it's society is judged by how many jobs are destroyed. Right? Because jobs are being destroyed because technology is coming in and new jobs are being created. There was no web designer, there was no video game designers at all 20 years ago. Now, thousands and thousands of people work in these industries. So to your point, Amanda, it's like, we can't even imagine what it's going to be. The idea pre-Uber that like anyone could have a job as a driver, personal driver, anytime, day or night, whenever they wanted, if there's, you couldn't have imagined this stuff. So to Ashley's point, like, let this new technology soar and our lives will only benefit as a result.
Yeah, because I don't know what to expect. I can hope for things. Like I hope for a future where we can like invent like robots and or androids and all sorts of things like that. I looked up, I've got some notes here on my phone that I put down before we started. I have this book about Benjamin Franklin that I like a lot, and it says in there, as this quote, it's actually from his uncle who lived with him and when Benjamin Franklin was a toddler, and they kind of noticed that there was something pretty remarkable about him, even though he was a small child. And his uncle wrote, like, of this little boy, like so full of potential. It's if the buds are so precious, what may we expect when the fruit is ripe? And that is what I'm most excited about artificial intelligence, because already, like, it's insane. You can feed it, you can make it write essays for you and make it, I don't know, just beautiful images, all sorts of things.
I even remember like the early days of the internet, like 2003 and 4 rolled around, and I was like, well, this is it. Like, what else can they possibly come up with? And like, even on the platform of the internet, as we know, it's like such new technologies and advancements, right? Like, you used to have the World's Fair every year, every 5 years. Now it's like every couple of weeks, there's a new World's Fair of new advancements that, we can't even imagine.
Nicholas, they've tried to, people, like I said, they're playing with this new technology, and they fed it music, like someone told me they fed it Chopin and like asked it to create a Chopin piece to see if, and then like test people, could you tell the difference between the real Chopin and this sort of computer generated Chopin? Have you heard of any of that? Like, you could use it for music. That would be
I've
fun.
heard of that being done. I'm pretty confident I could tell the difference, but I don't know, maybe somebody should test me one of these days. I'm skeptical about computers being able to accomplish creative tasks, things like writing a novel, composing a symphony.
Yeah, not yet. But I think they can provide the seeds of things, like, a place to start. By you feed it, and then you get some sort of a draft or an idea from the machine, and you can take that and run with it. But yeah, you're right. Like, I've tried to get it to, like, fed it my poetry and like tried to get it to to like write the next stanza, and it's
Well, I have to say, oh, please, Nicholas, please.
I was just going to say, I have heard of computers being used to write music for video games and movies. And I've actually heard some samples, and it sounds like a reasonable facsimile of the kind of music that does accompany video games and does accompany some kinds of movies. But it's generally very generic, formulaic type of music. It's not, that type of music that you would associate with Schubert, Chopin, Liszt, or composers like that. But it's functional music. It's music that it serves a very specific sort of purpose.
I went to this place in Denver called Meow Wolf, and they have this room where I don't know, it's just like a ballroom, but there's nothing in it. And there's images on the wall that change and morph, and there's AI generated music that and it was the most mesmerizing thing that I've seen in a long time. Like, I could have spent days in that room just listening and interacting with the computer. So it was fun.
I have to say one thing, Nicholas, you asked kind of fear. One thing I am actually fearful about is that I always found, and I believe somewhere even in the objectivist kind of literature, there's about this, a connection between thinking and writing. And the idea that you can sit down to this thing and say, give me 1,200 words about why, basically any topic, and it will spit it out. I am concerned that young people in particular aren't going to have that experience of having to sit down, focus, and write out by themselves and organize their thoughts, topic, sentence, proof, conclusion. If that process, I think, is eliminated in the learning process, I would be a little bit concerned about that, because I think there is that connection between thinking, writing independently. So maybe there'll be more tests that'll have to be done, right at your seat without a computer. But that's, I think, one fear in terms of learning. A part of learning and educating and communicating and things, to be able to sit down, organize your own thoughts, and write them out in an appropriate manner. What do you guys think?
Well, that's really up to parents and educators to make sure that children are not taking shortcuts. They're not just learning or having computers write their essays for them. They still are learning the same basic skills, reading, writing, arithmetic, learning the same core subjects.
Maybe. I say maybe to that because it's like a tool like anything else. And so you want to, the big deal is to teach people how to use the tool effectively. So whether that's a slide rule, a calculator, the robot chat, I don't know. It seems like it could be like an effective, just part of what you do.
When you were in like 4th grade or whatever age you're using arithmetic, they didn't let you bring a calculator into 5th grade, 4th grade?
No, but nor did I need one, but yeah.
Well, Jason Adams, really generous, says his conversations with AI should be treated like attorney-client privilege that could be regulated.
Good point.
One to think about.
What do you should be treated? I don't get it. What are you telling the machine, Jason?
Well, I've asked it a few saucy questions, and I believe it's barked back a little bit, so it has some sense. Well, should we call it what do they say, a full lid? Guys, I think we've explored this topic really, really well. It's something that still emerging, early emerging, but I think we're among probably the few groups and the few individuals who aren't so scared about it. When we see good things from technology, the future, this is men's great minds. I mean, this doesn't happen in societies without freedom, individual rights, and to see it happening here, I welcome it. I think we all do on some level.
Yeah, I would like to say that message to everyone, anyone who happens to be listening that's on the forefronts of inventing this stuff. Like, do it, please. Go and do it faster, because I want more of it before I die. So, like, don't hold back. Keep going. And if you need someone to play with it, that's me. Please let it be me.
So I see there are no. Sorry, Jonathan, you were going to say.
You want to please wrap us up, bring us out. Any final words?
Yeah, I see that there are no upcoming shows. So with that, any final words from either of you, Amanda, Jonathan?
Just good to see you, Nicholas.
Yeah, and a big thanks to our listeners, our subscribers, and our super chatters. You guys keep us on the air Monday through Friday with, interesting perspectives, great guests, and all of our philosophy posse. So thanks to all who help keep the lights on.
Yeah, thank you all very much. We'll be back for another episode of the Daily Objective tomorrow. And until then, good premises. Thank you all very much.
Later.
Just quickly, we have one more super chat.
Oh, okay.
I'm putting it in chat.
Adherent of Lady Columbia, $5. Stream idea for Jonathan, who has now disappeared into the stream. Why is hedge fund management and asset management like Vanguard and BlackRock so entrenched with ESG since it funds so much? Wow, I don't know. Marialine, $3. Thank you for your question.
So for that question, tomorrow is going to be a Jonathan episode, and I'll save the super chat and let him know then.
All right.
Excellent.
Cool.
Thank you. All right.